let's get back to the Cavs here, guys. Is Kenny Atkinson on the hot seat, Mike, heading into this postseason? Does he have more pressure than any player on the Cavs?
I don't think more than any player, but yeah, I do think the seat's hot. They have to go on a play. They have to go on a run here. Like, they absolutely 100% unequivocally have to go on a run here, or else it's going to be a catastrophic failure for a team that has the most expensive roster in the NBA, that won 64 regular season games last year and failed to make it out of the first round, that did push all their chips in on the table, getting rid of the DeAndre Hunter contract, trading Darius Garland for James Harden, trading a 26-year-old point guard for a 36-year-old point guard, putting as much assets around their best player in Donovan Mitchell as humanly possible with a future player extension looming over him in 2 years. Yeah, Kenny's on the hot seat. Like, yes, they have to succeed. Yes, they have to go on a run. And as good as Kenny's been in the regular season, he doesn't have the playoff resume to back up that regular season success that he's had. The pressure's immense, not just for Kenny, but for the entire roster, for the entire team. I think you might make the case that the Cavs as a team are under more pressure to do something this postseason than any other team, not just in the Eastern Conference, but in the entire NBA. Fair? Maybe not. Right?
How would you define that? Like, why would they have more pressure than the Knicks, for example?
If they lose in the first round, this entire thing could be nuked, blown up, and shred to smithereens.
Couldn't same thing be for the Knicks?
Well, the pressure with the Cavs is the contract situation this summer. The fact that Donovan has an opportunity to re-sign.
You think there's more pressure on Donovan than Kenny Atkinson?
No.
I think Kenny Atkinson's got more pressure than any of the players.
I think the entire organization, like, last year's loss was devastating.
Yeah.
It was devastating to lose to Indiana in the second round.
Yep.
If this team loses in the first or second round, I think anything is possible. But short of that, if they make the conference finals or after, I don't know how you can be upset. But if anything short of the conference finals, I think anything is on the table with this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the Cavs don't get to the conference finals, Kenny Atkinson is definitely going to be fired.
It's a good chance.
I mean,
good chance.
Again, I think a lot of it comes down to Donovan.
Yeah.
I don't mean to answer every question the same way, but it's all about Donovan this summer. If Donovan says that's my coach, that's who I want.
Right.
I don't want anybody else. That's going to carry a lot of weight.
Because they're going to do whatever it takes to keep Donovan, and they don't want Donovan trying to force his way out of here after the season.
So, and again, I don't mean to answer every question the same way, but that's the focal point of this summer.
Yeah.
So, but anything short. Mike said it's the most expensive roster in the league.
I mean, if they lose to Toronto, forget about it. I mean, that's
nuclear explosion.
Yeah. But even if you lose to Detroit, and I know the number one seed, they were the one seed, but who cares? The Cavs were the number one seed last year. It didn't matter.
The optics of losing to Detroit would be awful because you fired JB.
Yeah.
You fired JB, and now JB, if he were to be the one that beats you, that's devastating.
And not just that.
Yeah.
JB took over a team that was in shambles.
Yeah.
The Cavs and Kenny inherited a team that had made the
shape.
playoffs, had a superstar, had young players. Where they started to where they would get to if Detroit were to beat Cleveland, I don't know how you look at it any other way than what you
I honestly think there's a good case for Kenny to be fired unless, to me, the floor has got to be a competitive series loss to Boston in the conference finals. Because even if you get to the conference finals and then get smoked and embarrassed by Boston, to me that's not really any better than what you did last year. You just got a better draw, and so you avoided the better team.
I want to see it before.
Yeah.
That'd be a conversation that is worth having.
Yeah.
When they get past Detroit and they're in that conference final situation. And I think Kenny, we talked about how much pressure he's under.
Yeah.
He's done a good job this year.
Yeah.
We did it in the 5-pack of stats. First team ever, 50-plus wins and 40-plus starting lineups.
But it just doesn't matter.
But I'm not saying it does. I'm saying he's held this guy. It's not like this guy isn't a good coach. He is a good coach.
Hear you.
But to Jason's point, it comes down to what Donovan wants if they don't get to where they want to get to this year. And the head coach is the easiest thing to change. It's easier to change a head coach than it is to change a roster. Exactly the reason why J.B. Bickerstaff's gone and the roster looks very similar to what it did 3 years ago. At least it did to start the season. They've obviously made some in-season changes. But Kenny's done a good job. Kenny did a great job in the regular season last year. Hopefully, they have taken some of those lessons that cost them against Indiana in round 2. They've talked about different type of practice intensity leading up to the playoffs, making sure they're not going to gas out, preserving their body, knowing that the regular season didn't matter because now is what they were being judged on.
Right.
Now it's time to flip the switch, prove that all the things that you did throughout the regular season were just kind of in warm-up in lieu of what was to come in this situation. And go out and win some playoffs.
In the NBA, more than any other sport, all that matters is what you do in the playoffs.
That's it.
That's it. So being a good coach in the regular season or a good player in the regular season doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. In baseball, it matters because the playoffs are a crapshoot. In football, it matters to some degree. It still matters what you do in the playoffs ultimately, but you get a longer leash to have success in the playoffs in football. In the NBA, for a coach, if you fall on your face 2 years in a row in the playoffs,
You're gone.
You're out a lot.
I think it's 6, maybe 7, 6 or 7 guys that have won Coach of the Year were fired within the next 2 years.
Yeah, we see it all the time.
Happens all the time. All the time.
Yeah. So I think Kenny's got a ton of pressure heading into this series or into this postseason. Obviously, they can't lose to Toronto. But yes, the optics, as one of you said, if you lose to Detroit, are so bad.
There's no getting past it.
Because the Cavs have more talent than the Pistons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Pistons are good. I think maybe you said, Mike, we've kind of underrated them, and
They're good.
They've been disrespected all year.
They lost their best player, and they
kept winning.
rolled.
Yeah,
They're a very good team.
You know, they could have easily, when they lost their best player, with the Celtics getting fully healthy, with Tatum back, the Celtics could have moved past them.
They could have lost the 1 seed, yeah.
And it didn't happen. They kept playing well.
They kept on trending.
And they've been disrespected. How much talk, not just here, was there across the country the last month, you think, about tanking?
It's
not tanking, but you know what?
To play
manipulating
to
play the number 1 seed.
Right,
Yeah.
to manipulate to play Detroit instead of Boston.
It almost feels in a way that when last year Cleveland had won the 64 regular season games, teams weren't trying to manipulate the seeding to play them.
Right.
But everyone said, show me first before we're fully buying in. Like, I don't think outside of Cleveland, the national narrative was that people were buying into Cleveland as bona fide, legitimate contenders. And now Detroit's going through the exact same thing. 60-plus wins, incredible regular season success. They haven't proven anything in the playoffs.
Right.
And I think everyone's looking at Detroit with the mindset of they still got to prove it before we're fully buying into them.
That's right.
See, I disagree with that. I think they did take Cleveland seriously. When you look at some of the metrics and some of the I think a lot of teams felt like Cleveland was legit.
They certainly took them more legitimately than people are taking the Pistons this year.
From a media standpoint, not necessarily from a team standpoint.
Boy, I don't know. I still think.
But you wouldn't argue that they took them more seriously than people are taking the Pistons this year.
Yeah,
You know?
but I still don't think it's to the level of where a team. We talked about last year, the Cavs were.
I mean, no one was comparing that Cavs team to the Warriors or the Cavs of 10 years prior.
That's not realistic.
But I mean, they were a 1 seed.
Yeah.
But so I'll give you that. But I think that's what made the loss to Indiana so shocking.
But they weren't even the favorites to win the East last year, despite the regular season success.
Yeah, Boston was.
Yeah, Boston
Right.
was.
All right, let's leave it there. When we come back, we've seen yet another young player sign a long-term extension, Kevin McGonigal of the Tigers, following Pete Crow-Armstrong, following Connor Griffin, following 2 guys by the Brewers and Mariners who aren't even in the majors yet. Could the Guardians be next? Plus 60-second trivia as well coming up.